Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be making a birthday gift bag with a pocket on the front that'll hold our birthday card. I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, for those of you who remember me making this birthday card for Finn, it's my great nephew, and he is a year old, and it stands up like this. It also flattens out. So I wanted to make a gift bag that would hold his little gifts I've got him. They're not, crazy gifts, but okay, I'll just show you the little things I got him. I got him this little toy, and his room is all in astronauts and space. And this little light I got him that I thought was adorable. And because everybody needs a treat, I got him some of these. Probably mailing those is stupid, but whatever. I did it anyway. And then, of course, we've got the card that's big. Okay. So let me tell you all the papers, the measurements, everything we did. First, let me tell you about this. I went online. I wanted an image of a monster. I actually cut out two monsters. They're two different monsters. And then I immediately lost one of my two monsters because that's, if you saw my craft room, you'd cry for me. But I don't want you to. Anyway, so what I did was I found this image on... You type in Google, you type in free printable monsters, and they all come up. And you can also type in free printable black and white monster, which is what I did. And then you'll get it to come out, and then I put it in my photocopier, my copier, and I enlarged it as big as I could a couple times because it was about this big originally, and then I just kept enlarging it so that it eventually got to the size it is now. Then I used my alcohol markers based on these two crazy papers. I don't know why I chose these, but I did. So I thought they'd be fun on those papers. And so that's him. I used my scan and cut. I know you're proud of me because I finally am using that. It's been over a year and I finally am using it. But not as much as I should. So here are the papers you're going to need. And I always write all this below the video. My scoreboard is 100 years old. Well, literally not. But it's an old Martha Stewart. It was originally also was a paper cutter, but I could never push down hard enough on the paper cutter part that was in this bar. But I liked how this holds down the right side of the paper, and it also holds in my tool, my stylus. So that's why I kept it. Just telling you all the details on things. Let me tell you the papers first, and then the scoring dimensions. This is the bottom of our bag. It is 6 inches by 12 inches. While I have it in here, we might as well score it. You're going to score it at 1 inches. You want it when you're doing something that's this long, 12-inch paper is kind of cumbersome to hold into your trimmer. If you are better at scoring on the left side of your scoreboard, instead of scoring at 1 inches and 5 inches, you can just turn it around and score it at 1 inch and 1 inch. It does require that you're supposed to score at 1 inch and 5 inch. So I'm going to do it that way, but I'm telling you, it's much easier if you are better. Like, let's say you're better at 5 inches than you are at 1 inches, then score both of them at 5 inches. Nobody's holding you. I'm better at 1 inch, obviously. Nobody's holding you accountable for how you score things. So this is all I'm telling you. Do whatever makes you happy. And mine, I don't know if you can see this, I have all kinds of issues. I'm going to show you how to rub those out if you don't know. All you're going to do is from the raised side. I'll do this right now so you can see it. From the raised side. And if you're on the raised side, you had to flip it over to get to the raised side. If you had it in your scoreboard, you just want to flip it over. Okay. Here, hopefully you can see. Can you see this line that's partway inside here that you don't want? So what you do is from the back where it's raised, you're just going to take some kind of, you can use either a bone folder. I like these bone folders from the Dollar Tree for this because they're not that thick. They're not that wide. So you can really control what you're fixing. I think that's the rest of it. I could do more of it, but I'm afraid I'll wipe out my score line completely. Nobody is going to notice that, trust me. Those are the only 2 scores that you need on your base, and then you're going to fold and burnish. So I might as well do that while we're playing. My papers, these ones are the plain color, is from a pack I got on Amazon from American Crafts that I really, really like. I don't like textured paper, and I want solid core paper. Solid core 12 by 12 means that it is all the way through that color. If it doesn't say solid core, it means that it's yellow on the outside and it's white on the inside. So when you trim it to 6 inches, then all of a sudden that 6-inch score, or excuse me, that 6-inch cut is now white. So if it was not solid core, you'd be able to see a white inner edge all the way across, and that would bug me. And if the only way to fix that is to, in fact, ink it, and that's too much work for me. So I'll put the link below. You know I'm not affiliated with Amazon or anybody else, but I like to tell you about things. Any product I really like, I like to make sure I tell you about, because I want you guys to have the products that work best for me, because, you know, they work best for me. Next up, this is my actual bag. Now the direction of my bag is going to be like this. It's going to be the horizontal lines. This is going to be my sides and my pocket, and they're going to go in the opposite direction, but I'll give you the measurements of these when I get to them. So the first thing we're going to talk about are our front and back. I'm going to make this bag so it folds flat when she's done if she wants to. So one of them is going to be the back of the bag. As I said, mine are going to be horizontal. So I only have to do 1 score, and that's on the back of the bag, and that is so I can fold it flat when I'm done. And the way, I did tell you these are 12 by 12, right? And the way you do that is you're going to put this in so that, again, the direction of my paper when it's a bag is going to be like this. So when I'm making it, when I make this mark for the back of the bag, I'm going to turn it once for in my scoreboard. So I'm going to score this on the back. Remember, again, only one of these needs to be scored, and I'm going to score it at 2 inches. And again, that's just so you can lay the bag flat when you're done. It doesn't mean anything else other than that. If you don't want to lay your bag flat when you're done, or you don't care if the person lays the bag flat, then don't make that score. Back of your bag. Don't forget, that's your back. Both front and back are 12 by 12. Then, next thing we're going to do is the sides of our bag. The sides of our bag are going to be 6 inches. You need 2 of these because it's the sides. 6 inches by 10 inches. Okay, on our 10-inch length, we're going to score at 1 inch. These papers, all of my straight papers, came from a paper pack from Park Lane from Joanns. Used to be called Joann Fabrics. I'm going to show you the outside so you can see it. Very inexpensive paper called Floral Spice. I know it's not floral or spicy, but that's what it is. So you scored both of these on the 10-inch length at 1. Then you're going to turn them to the 6-inch length. And at the 6-inch length, we're going to score at 1 and 5. 1. Same thing, if you aren't good at scoring at the 5-inch mark or the 1-inch mark, you don't have to, you can just flip it around. 1 inch. I'm going to flip it over because it's a nightmare for me to try and get that, my left hand over there to the 5 inches. All right. Then we're going to fold these folds. That made sense, didn't it? We're going to fold our folds up. Including the bottom one. And on the 10-inch length, you're going to fold this piece up. And we're going to only fold, we're only going to score in this middle section at 2 inches. This is again so that we can fold the bag later. If you don't want to fold your bag, you don't have to do this. I'm trying to get in that 2-inch groove. And only just in that center. Okay? We'll do it again so you see it. Oh, there's one more score I forgot about. And on this length, I'm going to flatten it all the way out. On the 6-inch length, you're gonna score at 3 inches down to that score you just made, right there. We're gonna put a triangle there so that you can fold the bag down. So that was on that 6-inch length, 3 inches all the way down. We'll do it again on this one. Maybe it'll be easier if I just fold this one piece up and not fold the other ones in when I show this how to do this. Okay. You're going to score again just, hopefully I can stay in the groove that far, at 2 inches, like that. Then on this side at the 6-inch, you're going to score at 3 inches, right down to that score you made at 2 inches. Got it? And then we'll do a little thing to make it fold. If you don't want to fold this, you might want to just do that 3-inch score all the way down because it'll make it easier to bend it. But you don't have to do that. You can just kind of push the paper and make it work. Okay, that's it for those. Then next we have that was the 2 sides, and I gave you the bottom. Now we've got the pocket. The pocket seems humongous right now. My pocket is going to be horizontal. This is 9.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and this is your pocket. Now my pocket is going to fit my card, so it had to be this big. But you're going to make scores. You're going to make a score, and these are tricky to make because they're really little. At 1/4 inch, at 1/2 inch, and at 3/4 inches. You want to make those on both sides, so I'm just going to turn my paper around. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inches. And then you need one score on the 6.5 inch length that's at 1 inch. That is your pocket, as I said. Then the very last piece is the lid to your pocket, and it is 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and you only have one score on this, and that is on the 3.5 inch length at 1 inch. And I think that's all the scores we need to do. Nope, seemed like a lot. Again, I'll write all this below the video so that you don't have to worry about writing all of it down as we go. So let's start cutting things and getting our papers ready to go. As you know, we already got the bottom of our box made. Bag. This is the bottom. We're going to go next to our 2 sides. Now I told you on this one, there's just a little bit more scoring involved. On this one, what we're going to do is remember, hopefully, well, let me fold these scores in so you can really see this well. Remember when we made the score at 3 inches that goes right down to this score that we made at 2 inches we made it. Anyway, we need to make a score from the point where those two score lines meet down to the bottom corner of this rectangular little box. Again, oh boy, that's not good. I pushed too hard and went through my paper. I'm going to have to fix that. The way I'm going to fix it is I'm going to put a piece of tape behind it. Hopefully, nobody will notice that. You know my rule, if somebody's looking hard enough, I did put a piece of foam under it, and should have thought about that before I pushed so hard, but I did not. And, you know, these are the ramifications of pushing too hard. You're going to have a little problem like that. So I'm going to push that down, and I'll put some Scotch tape, clear tape, whatever you call it, behind it. So we're going to just put that on there. And from the other side, push down on that so you get the tape behind it to hold and attach that. See? Crisis averted. Back to this piece. Same thing. From the bottom of where those two lines meet to the bottom left corner. Again, don't push so hard, Sandy. And then I wasn't even close. Then on this side, same deal. Next up, we're going to cut out the things that we don't need. Now, when we do our sides, you're going to pinch in that middle score. Hopefully you can see that. And then when we get down to the score that's horizontal, you're just going to fold that across. And then these other ones should start to just play on their own. But, you know, they should be able to fold. You only want to fold them up to that line. But it makes it easier if you, when you're doing this process, if you get these pieces used to folding now, then when it comes time to fold the bag down, they'll be ready to do it. We are going to cut out these corner boxes, these small pieces up to including that score line. And then I'm going to cut, well, I'll cut this one normally, and then I'll show you how to cut it afterwards. You're going to want to cut a little teeny tiny wedge off the side so that when you put this bag together, there's no excess paper in the way. You're going to do the same at the bottom. You're going to just cut a very small triangle of paper off. On this one, I'm just going to do it all in one cut. So normally I cut straight up. I'm just going to angle a little bit in from that score. Same with this side, just a little bit angled like that, so that what you end up with looks like this. Same thing with your other side. You're going to get your center so it knows how to fold. And we're going to fold that horizontal fold. Then we're going to play with our angled ones. And then we're going to do the same cutting. You're just going to angle cut out a little bit to that score. And then the corner of this one down to there. You want to make sure you get that score line out of there when you're doing this angle. I got a little bit of score line still left down in the middle here. I'm going to get that out. That side. And on this side, a little bit of an angle up to the score, and a little bit of an angle down. If you don't like me doing it that way, tell me. If you want me to do the square cuts and then fix it afterwards, I'll be happy to do that. I don't want to confuse you. At the very least, this can be confusing, so I want to make sure I don't do that to you. So, okay. Then we're going to do the folds of our pocket. This is the piece that has the 1-inch fold at the bottom. And then on the sides, you're going to start from the outside. You're going to fold that one down. The first fold, you're going to fold down. The next fold, you're going to fold the opposite direction. You want these folds to be really flat. And then you're going to fold the last one, going the down again. Then, once you've done this, take a bone folder and really make sure that they are nice and flat. Because these, this pocket needs to be able to expand, but the only way you're going to get this to lay flat on your piece is if you get these scores to know how to do what they need to do. Okay, we'll do it one more time so you see it. Your outermost fold is one that folds toward the inside. You know that I could do that mountain and valley thing, but I got to be honest with you. When people say that, sometimes I get confused when they're actually folding the paper. So I'm going to tell you the way I do it. And the way I do it is I'll say I'm folding this toward the rest of the paper or away from the rest of the paper. So your first fold, you're folding toward the rest of your paper. Your second fold, you're folding away from your paper. Your third fold, you're folding toward the paper again. So it should look like this when you're done. Then we're going to get our bone folder. And this is one of those ones you get at the Dollar Tree that comes in a pack of, I think, 2. You might not like it, but I do. Okay, that's that. Now, this is our 1-inch fold at the bottom. I should have done this before, but I didn't remember to do it. And that is, I need to cut out all of that scoring I just did up to that line at the bottom that I scored. And then I'm going to cut just a teeny tiny bit angled like that. This one I'm going to do the traditional way so you can see it the way you would maybe do it. You're going to cut straight across on the score line, including the score. You want to eliminate the score. Then the way normal people do it is they cut, again, getting rid of the whole score. You want to cut up to that score and get rid of it. You want to get rid of that box. I accidentally cut too far. And then what normal people do is they cut a little bit of an angle off of this piece. I do it all in one fell swoop because I'm impatient. So that is our pocket. And then the top of our pocket is this piece that has 1 score in it. And this score you're going to fold down. And I'm going to round my ends of my corners on the bottom of it because when I attach it, I want it to be, I want the front to be rounded. You know, when it lays down over the front of my package. And I'm using my Katamaro Pro that I got from Amazon. If you don't know, this is my favorite corner rounder in the whole world, and it's the one tool that I couldn't live without. Small, medium, and round, corner round. And you just dump the excess. It accumulates in the bottom and you just dump it over time. It works great every time. I've had it for years. I can't recommend it more highly. I got it on Amazon. It's around $10, which isn't much when you look at tools and, well, when you look at corner rounders, because I've bought a lot of corner rounders over the years. Okay, then in this area where this score, behind the 1-inch score, I'm going to cut a little bit away from this because I need to be able to tuck this into my pocket. So I'm going to do another little angle there. And hopefully, this might be the wrong size. I might have to give you new measurements, but I think when I did all my calculations, I think this is correct. Because I wanted to make sure my pocket was big enough to hold my card. Okay, we're ready to put this bag together. The easiest way, I think, to put these bags together is to start with the base and the front and back. You can use any kind of things you want for this. I like to use a combination of tear tape and wet glue. I'm going to fold these. I had them folded right the first time. You're folding these bottom flaps toward the white part, okay? You're going to glue these into the bottom of this. I guess I'll just do it this. I'll just do it in a whole different way than I just told you I was going to do it. All right. So you're going to put glue on the colored part in this 1-inch area, just in that spot. Not above it, just in this area. And then this is our base. Then you're going to, I'll spread this out a little so you can see this. You're going to line up your score lines that are at the top and the bottom. See this score line in the yellow and the score line in the white? Hopefully you can see those two score lines. You want to line all these up so that they all continue in a straight line. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see it goes from yellow to white straight up? Yellow to white straight up. Leave it laying down. You don't need to stand it up. You're just going to leave it laying down. We're going to do the other side. Here's a cautionary tale. What I just did is I accidentally put glue on the white part instead of on this part. So I'm just putting a white piece of paper under it where it's glued, and I'm just going to cut the excess off so nobody will see it. There's no easy way to get glue off, so if you use glue and you do what I just did, that's how you fix it. You just add another piece of paper over it, and it's secret. No one's going to see it. Now, if you want your bottom to still be yellow all the way across, we could glue in another piece of paper, and I might do that just to make the base a little bit stronger, because I think I do have another piece of that paper. Woo! That I, like the rest of it, yeah. So this piece is 12 inches by 4 inches. Well, it's 12 inches by 3 and 15/16 of an inch. All right, so I'll leave that until I've got my other piece that I already had issues with. All right, remember, we're going to glue, this time I'm going to do it right. I'm going to put glue on the patterned side. And the glue I'm using is Tombow Mono Aqua. It's a nice glue for things like this. It sets up pretty fast. Just saying. And this time I have it on the right side. Again, you want to make sure that your two score lines on the sides are lining up with that, like that. Push it down all the way, make sure that you get it to set up. And then we're going to put some glue on this piece, and we're going to put it in there so that it's going to cover our white. You don't have to do this. It will make your bag a little sturdier. You could put cardboard in if you wanted to. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your bag. But I'm doing this because I just want to make the white go away. And also I want to make it just a little bit sturdier, even though I don't think it really needs to be much sturdier. Make sure you got as much of that white covered as you can. And I'm going to let that set up. Now, for the outside of your bag, you're going to be gluing it over this piece. These pieces are going to be inside those flaps. So what I recommend you doing at this point is creating a straight bag for yourself. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to put glue only on, I would put it on the first inch of the yellow paper, because remember, this is the inside. You're not going to see this because we're going to put the outside of our bag over it. And then you want the other piece to be straight up and down. I'm holding it for a second just to get it to set up. And I'm also making sure I rub the bottom so that the bottom glues in. Do the same thing on this side. Shoot, this priest almost did the same thing again. Almost glued it on the wrong side. Okay. I'm going to put this piece in, hold it straight up. Hold that piece in place. Again, you want to make sure that your side piece is straight up and down. And the way you'll know that, well, I'll show you in a minute how you'll know that. Don't forget that you made an angle cut on this yellow paper, so it won't be exactly a 90-degree look. My other paper fell down because I need to put some paper clips or something on these. Making these bags is really simple. The thing that isn't simple is that when you're making a bag of this size, trying to get it in camera and having it so that the bag isn't flailing around all over your desk while you're doing this, that's the hard part. So if it looks hard to you, trust me when I tell you it's not. And I really like making these kinds of things because they are easy to make. And why pay for them when you have, if you're like me, if you're a hoarder of paper and you have so much of this paper sitting around, why not just do this instead and use it up? Just gluing like 1 inch there. And then I'm holding it up, but it's got a little angle cut to it. And I'm going to show you in a second what that looks like. It's because when I glue the outside, the actual front and back to this, I don't want it to these yellow papers to show. So that's why you cut that little angle in there. But when you're setting up your side pieces and you've cut that angle in there, you don't want to end up having it so that it's not straight because you're trying to match an angle where you shouldn't be. Can you see right here how this is showing? That's how it should be because this has a little piece cut out of it. Same on this side. Can you see that? So let's just let this set up for a second and we'll talk about our bag, the front and our back of our bag. I think I'm going to glue my pocket on before. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Okay, the back of your bag, I should have told you this at the beginning. If you have a piece of cardstock that's not as pretty or the pattern is a little bit yucky, make that the back of your bag. Remember, the back of your bag is the one that has this score on it. That's important because that's what allows you to fold this bag. And if you get that fold set up to fold back and forth now, that's great. It'll work better for you in the long run. For some reason, this paper is not even right here. So let me fix that little issue. I like to, at this point, involve some tear tape because I don't necessarily trust just having wet glue when I'm putting together a bag of this size. I mean, you're talking a big bag, and I want to make sure this thing stays together. I'm going to add wet glue. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be without wet glue, but I also want to make sure that I've got tear tape in the game. And I'm going to tear tape the very bottom. Okay, before we go any further, I think I'm going to put my pocket on the front of my bag. The front of your bag does not have any kind of scoring on it. And my paper goes in the horizontal line, and the bottom of my paper on the other side is the darker shade. So if you want your front and your back of your bag to match, make sure the bottom is the darker shade as well. So I'm going to add glue to the bottom flap of my pocket. I could add some tear tape to this, but I want this to be able to be wiggled around if I have to wiggle it, and I probably will. I also did put some tear tape on this little seam edge. And I'm going to put wet glue on that after I take the little backing paper off. See, I use this teeny tiny, I think it's 1/8 of an inch maybe. It's very, very fine and delicate. Maybe not delicate, but you know, reminds me of delicate because it's so little. Tear tape. And I'm also going to add wet glue to those side pieces. The reason I add wet glue to tear tape is because if you lay this down and it's not in the right place when you do anything with tear tape, you're stuck. So I use the wet glue in addition to the tear tape so that if I do lay it down in a weird place, I can pick it back up. Okay, so I'm going to put mine maybe about, keep in mind you have to get those side pieces squished in. They're the hardest part of this whole thing. The whole project, those are the hardest part. Making sure that those little side flappers are where they need to be. And this piece that goes underneath, I would probably lay it right under the first layer of flap when you go to put it down, because otherwise it's going to get in your way. You can always put something in there to push on it. I'm going to lay down, hopefully straight, this side. I'm sure other people have better ways of doing this than me. But this is how I do things because I want to make sure that it works for me the way I do things. Because I'm, you know, not the world's most skilled at holding on to tiny flaps. And, you know, these little flappy things really can mess with your mojo. You know what I'm saying. It seems pretty straight. I used that bottom, I used this line in my paper to make my bottom work. Okay, before I go any further, let me make sure my card will fit in there. It should. I think I'm just going to put it in like this. If you're doing it, you can just put this in. Hold on, I'll flatten it out so you can slide it in. You can just put this in, and I was just going to put some Velcro there. But remember, I also have a monster to glue on mine. That's the other reason that I don't care about not having the lid on it. So I think I'm just going to glue my monster in place. It would have been cuter if I would have used the pocket, but you know, if I would have been able to have put the lid on the pocket. But these things happen, so you just roll with it. And now my monster will take center stage. So let's take the tear tape off the front of the bag. I remembered why you should put the front and back on before you put the sides on, and that is so that you can make sure that your sides line up with your front and back, because when I did it the way I did it, it made it so it was harder to put the front on or the back on, because I had already made it so you either use the I can't explain it. It just, the way I did it, it would be better if you put the front and back on the bag before you put your sides up, because I couldn't hide my sides as well as I wanted to because they were already glued in place. There, now maybe I made sense. Then we're going to put the wet glue over our tear tape. Again, greasing. Make sure that you can rip it back off if you have to. And you definitely might have to with this stage. I did have some issues when I put the back on. I figured you didn't need to see me put the back on because it's exactly like putting the front on, only it's the back. Okay, then You're going to hold your paper up as straight as you can make it so that you can kind of fold your side up as you go. Trying to make sure that lines up with the side of your bag as you do this. And then this side I think is easier to do kind of like this, where you lay the side paper into the side paper onto the front of the bag. It's easier to see it at least. And then I'm going to really rub that down. Same with this side, really rub it in. And both times when I did it, I got a weird little crease in here. I don't know why. I don't really care why, but I did get a weird little crease. Then you're going to pinch your bag in like this. And then to get it to lay down, the back of your bag will just lay like that. Now, I'm going to just put a regular ribbon in. You could do it however you want to do it, but it's easier for me, I think, to do ribbon. Now, you could make it shorter, but I think I need the height of my bag. So you could have, if you wanted to, you could fold this down. Like, let's say you fold it maybe at that mark, and that gives you double the stability, and you could make it so that the bag's a little shorter, but it also is will hold your ribbon or whatever you're using for your handles. Just throwing that out to you, giving you some ideas. You need 2 of these, one for the front and one for the back. I think this is the same. I think this is already, oops. Yeah, that's 24 inches. You can decorate these however you want. You can, if you want to make them look a lot more fancy, you can do fancy things to them. My goal is to get them glued together so that they both are the same length. That is a problem I sometimes have when I do things like this, is I'll glue something together and the one handle is longer than the other because I didn't put the same amount of glue on both. Okay, so I cut out some of this funky stuff, and I thought it might be fun to put on the bottoms of my pieces. So I think I'm gonna do all kinds of things to decorate these. I thought about putting a button on them. There's all kinds of things you could do. Okay, so I've put tear tape on the bottom inch on both sides, and then I'm gonna just turn my paper in like this, and I'm gonna glue it to the front of my bag and the back of my bag. You want to make sure your tear tape is really that the ends are well glued down so you can take the backing off without having a nightmare. I think I'd like to do it 2 inches from both sides. So I'm gonna start at 10 inches. That one down. Holding on to your paper. Then on this end, starting at 2 inches. I can't even really see where 2 inches is. I'm gonna have to turn the whole bag. Alrighty. Starting at 2 inches, I'm gonna put it in, hopefully, so they're about at the same line, about there. If I have to add more tear tape underneath, I can do that. Or, and this is probably what you should do, add some wet glue underneath, just to make sure, you know, you're just giving yourself a little bit extra support. And then after I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of decoration to it. And what I mean by that is I have these die cuts that I made when I was making a bunch of those cards for Cubs. And I thought I would just glue a little strip of that in there, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. I'm going to try and start at the same spot. So I'm going to cut at a peak right there. So I know it goes to like the top of another peak. So I'll just stick that in place. I think I might, now just do one. That's that side. Now let's flip it over. This was easier from this side, or it should be, because I'm going to be lining it up, you know, with the other side's tear tape. Okay. There's that one, and then I need a couple of these. And the last thing I need to do is add a little more glue at the top of my, well, that one doesn't even need any more. How fabulous. Okay, let's see the front. So here's our bag. I think, as in all things I do, I always have to come up with an alternative idea along the way. And in this was, as I said, no exception, because my little card didn't fit in my bag. But I was also thinking I have a couple more of these strips, but they're not exactly, they're not long enough. Darn it. Ooh, I could put one along the top of the pocket. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. We'll make our pocket look a little bit more interesting. Oh, he looks way better with this on him, I think. It makes him look more like a pocket. What do you think? Think so? Well, there he is. I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.